What's good, everyone? Logan Stern here, and tonight I'm going to make a video real quick. I'm just going to be talking about a major life event that just happened to me, and it's kind of like a life update video, I guess, because of that, but essentially I'm also going to make it a life advice video because I'm going to be talking about my mindset towards this and how I'm going to recover from this. So, as you guys saw in the title, I lost my car, and it sucks, like, pretty bad. Anyways, so I'm gonna tell the story about what happened. So to start things off, I got this car at the beginning of January of this year. I sold my Jeep, bought this car from a family friend. It's a 2001 Toyota Camry, white car, really ugly outside, like beat up, missing like a door handle, but it's perfect, it drives good. It only had like 150,000 miles. And over the course of the 8 months, I never had to do any major work except like switch out one thing, which we did ourselves, and I had to get a battery changed and some oil changes too, so nothing too big. But it's been shaking a little bit the whole time ever since I got it, but it got really bad like the last 2 weeks before I left for college. I was door dashing a ton, and I think it was my brother or my dad, I don't remember, but we were driving and they noticed it shaking. So we looked at the engine, like we did this test on it, and it was shaking a lot, so we figured it could be motor mounts, but the motor mounts looked fine. But the day we looked at was like the day before I was gonna leave for NAU, so we couldn't really do anything. So we just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna have to take it up, and we can come back to it in a few weeks. So it gets really bad when I started driving up. When I was driving up, I stopped to get gas, and it was just shaking like crazy. And me and my brother and his friends opened the hood. I think the engine was just like rattling like crazy, just moving around everywhere. And we're like, damn, this thing is gonna explode. And I'm like pissed off because I'm like, shit, this is gonna deplete my whole emergency fund. I have like $630 saved up for my emergency fund in case like something bad happens, like shit hits the fan, like for when I need it. But that's for if I absolutely need it, like it's an emergency. And I also needed to get tires on this thing soon, which I could have waited a bit longer. I would have been fine, but I need to get new tires too. So I'm thinking, well, if it's nothing too big, I'll be fine. So I get dropped off. I drive the thing later that night. It's like so sketch. After driving like uphill for like 2.5 hours to Flagstaff from Phoenix, I'm driving around, this thing's like shaking at stoplights and it's not accelerating properly. So I'm like freaking out. I'm like, shit, this thing's gonna go out. So I call my parents. I decided like I was gonna come the weekend after at home. We're gonna get looked at by our mechanic and figure out what to do. The day after I drove it and it felt better. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a test. I'm gonna wait a couple more days before I drive it again. And I started driving it. I drove it 2 days later, and it was even better. So I figured like, okay, the less I drive it, the better. So I kind of like took breaks and it was driving fine. And it was still shaking like at stoplights, but other than that, it wasn't that bad. So I ended up making the ride home to Phoenix last weekend, which today is Wednesday, so last Friday. It's all been like 5 days since. I made the ride down to Phoenix. It's not like acting bad. It had a couple times where it was not accelerating properly, but I was going fast. I was going like 90 miles per hour at some points, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. So I get to Phoenix. Me and my parents decided me and my dad are gonna try to like look at it before we just take it to the mechanic and have him do some work on it. So my dad thinks it's the spark plugs, and he was right. So on Saturday we popped up the hood, we did a spark plug test, and the first spark plug was out. So we got the spark plug out. This is a repair that should take an hour max, and we get this one out pretty quickly, and it's like completely burned off at the end. So like perfect, we just switch it out and be fine. But this is where we screwed up. So we decided we're gonna try to fix the other spark plugs while we're there because they're also old. That first spark plug looked like it was 20 years old, like as old as the car. So we try to take the second and third spark plug out. We can't do it. We get the fourth one out. It's a bitch to get out. We get it out. So my dad tries to get this, I think the third one or second one. He breaks it. So the spark plug was like attached to a screw. He broke like the spark plug off from the screw. So the screw stuck in the hole still. I tried the other one. I'm like pushing hard, getting in the same arm pump and shoulder pump, but it breaks too. So we have these 2 bolts stuck in there. We're freaking out because like, well, how are we gonna get this out? Like, we knew that if a mechanic can't get out with a good price, he's gonna have to like take apart the engine. It's gonna be a lot of money. So we ended up trying to like figure out what tool to use we get out. So we go to AutoZone, we use this tool, we try for like a couple hours, it doesn't work. And he ended up actually breaking, like one of his tools got stuck in there. So we tried it, and eventually we just decided like we can't get these out. We're gonna have to take it to the mechanic. So we were able to get his tool out of this magnet thing, out of the hole, and we take it to the mechanic. So here's the deal though. Because like it's lodged deep down inside the engine, if the mechanic can't get it out like with a special tool, it's gonna cost like well over $1,000 because they're gonna have to take the engine head off. And that's like really hard to do. It's a lot of labor. So we're kind of freaking out, but we figured like my younger brother's Mustang went through there. He was able to get his spark plugs all switched out. It was a V8. So we figured it would be within my price range if it was able to work. This was like Sunday when we took it up to the mechanic. Monday wasn't even gonna work on it. Just a couple days ago on Monday, they start work I think like at 7 or 8 o'clock at the mechanic shop. So this is Monday. I'm like, it's noon. I'm not gonna call back. So I'm thinking, shit, like they either haven't worked on it yet or it's having problems. And of course, I'm like about to work out, and my dad texts me. He's like, the worst case scenario happened. They can't get it out, and they're gonna have to take the head off the engine. So me and my mom, my dad got in a group call, and my dad was like saying that, yeah, it's gonna cost like $1,800 to get the engine head off, and that's before they do any repairs. Totally, it's gonna be like $2,500. At this point, I kind of lose it. Like, I hate to admit it, I kind of lost it. I started swearing. I'm like, oh, so this is like so bullshit. Like, why am I dealing with this? Like, there's a lot of kids my age who don't have to pay for cars. They just like get shit handed them, and I actually have to work for it. And this is what happens to me. I get screwed over. I was just pissed off, freaking out because I don't have a car now. I'm gonna be living up in Flagstaff. On top of that, I was supposed to drive back up because I had class the next day. So I'm like, how am I gonna get to Flagstaff? So I'm like freaking out at this point. And my dad basically said was that we have to pay $2,500 to fix the car. The thing is, the car is worth less than that. I got the car for $2,000. That's about how much I could sell it for right now. So essentially, it's a bad deal. And I don't have $2,500. I have like $630 in my emergency fund, and money set aside for school and other stuff. So I'm like, so it's either I put the money in to repair it, or we sell it as it is. The car can't run because like the spark plugs are needed for it to run. We can't get them in because those things are lodged in there. So essentially I have to sell it for parts. I'm gonna maybe make like a couple hundred or a few hundred off of it. So at this point, I'm losing my shit. Like, I'm just pissed off. Like, I lost my car. I'm not gonna get anything out of it. I'm left without a car. No way to drive around Flagstaff. As of then, I didn't have a ride back up, and I can't do DoorDash. And this is like what just happened to me a couple days ago. I just completely lost my car. And to be honest, guys, it's not a good feeling. Like, it's not a good feeling at all. This is something like unexpected. The engine, it was shaking, but if we didn't try to mess with it, this might not have happened. But the thing is that it was a total surprise to me. I can't afford it, so I'm left without a car right now. This right now is a literal sucker punch out of nowhere. I literally got sucker punched by life out of nowhere. And it's really discouraging because this past year and a half, I've been working a lot harder. I made the sacrifice of not going to school last semester so I could pay off my student loan. I worked a ton. I DoorDashed a ton. And I really just like put a lot of work in. I sold my Jeep, got this car. We put a ton of work into my Jeep. Sold that thing for like $2,000. I got this car. I'm thinking this will work. And literally, it just got stripped away from me. I don't have a car again. I'm back in the same boat I was last year when I didn't have a car. And now it was a shitty feeling. So this is what just happened to me. And it really sucks. It felt like I climbed out of a hole, barely got over it. I'm like, okay, paid off my student loans, have this car. Now I can just run away from the hole and I'll be good. It's like I climbed up out of the hole and someone just like Spartan kicked me straight down there again. Like a literal sucker punch out of nowhere. And the thing is that all these things suck, but I'm not here to complain. I'm here to talk about how I'm gonna get over this, how I'm gonna become a better person from this, because even though it sucks in the moment, I ultimately think that that something better is gonna come of this long term. I think that everything in life happens for a reason. There's something that you can always take away from every situation. I always talk about it. Don't be a victim. Avoid the victim mentality. When something bad happens, as cheesy as this sounds, don't be a victim, be a victor. And that's what I'm gonna be in the situation. I'm gonna become a better person for this. I'm gonna become a stronger man. I'm gonna become more experienced. I'm gonna become more hardened. I'm gonna become a more masculine man. I'm gonna grow from this situation. And ultimately, like, I think I was praying when this was happening, and I was like praying to God. I'm like, please make the best case scenario happen with this car. And I ultimately think that probably this might just not be the will of God, because there's something better for me out there. There's a better situation, and it's going to lead to something down the road, maybe indirectly, who knows. But the thing is that I don't know what I'm gonna do right now for a car. I'm not sure. I might go carless for a bit, but I think right now what I'm leaning towards is like buying a new car, taking out a loan, like using the money I have right now saved up. I think I have like $1,800 saved up, and using that for now to pay off my car payment every month. Again, a slightly used car or a new car. After a few years, selling it. And in order to compensate for the money I spend right now, I'm gonna take out a small student loan, like a few thousand, which sucks, but you know what? I did it last year. I paid it off, and to make myself feel better, it's not because I was lazy. The reason I'm taking out a student loan is because I literally got sucker punched by life out of nowhere. But essentially, it is what it is. That's what I'm gonna have to do to fix the situation. And I talk about it in my victim mentality video. Examine the situation, do what you can to improve it, learn from it, apply the knowledge moving forward. If it bothers you, let it fuel you for victory. And the thing is that's what I'm gonna do to improve my situation. So I analyze, I improve. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna learn from it. So what I learned from the situation. What I learned is that old cars suck. No one takes care of old cars anymore. Back like when my parents were kids, cars were much easier to work on. People actually took care of cars. Nobody does that now. People just, because cars are harder to work on, they just let them go to shit. And the thing is that old cars are just not the way to go. So I think I'm gonna have to buy a newer car. Another thing I learned is like if anything is remotely wrong with the engine, get it looked at. And if you can't do something when you're working on a car, don't just try to pride it, because we didn't try to pride those things we've never broken in the first place. We could have fixed that one spark plug. I could have probably had it for a couple more years. Who knows? But essentially, those are things I learned from. I'm done trying to get these old ass cars, and if there's something you can't fix easily, we're gonna break something, it's not even worth the risk. That's what I learned from it. And if anything's wrong with the car, get it checked out so it doesn't go to something worse down the road. And just overall, just be more prepared for the future, have more money set aside. But I've really been trying out that anyways, so there's that. And 4 is gonna be apply it moving forward. So I'm gonna apply these things moving forward. And 5 is let it feel me to become a better person. The way I'm looking at this is that this is an opportunity to become a better person, to become a stronger man. See, as a man, you need to be masculine. I know there's a whole like cultural push against masculinity, saying it's toxic and all this other bullshit. True masculinity isn't toxic. When people talk about toxic masculinity, they're talking about like manipulative, lying, childish behaviors. That shouldn't even be associated with true masculinity. That's called being like a grown-ass child, basically. But essentially, true masculinity, like where you're a man of virtue, you work hard, you're on your purpose. You are overall a good person, a good-hearted person, but at the same time, you're also bold. You can stand up for yourself, you can fight for what you believe in. That's what true masculinity is. Another component of being masculine is being able to be flexible in situations like this. If you're too rigid in life, you're not gonna succeed. And a strong man needs to know like when to hold himself, how to hold his frame, and how to hold himself in a bad situation like this. That's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to hold myself and become a better person from this. And I ultimately think it's gonna make me a stronger man. And that's why I put the Giga Chad as the thumbnail for this video. Honestly, I did it for a bit of humor reasons because I love the Giga Chad meme. It's very popular right now. Essentially, he's the epitome of like a super masculine guy, and I think that doing this is gonna make me such a much better person. And it's really driving me right now to do better. I'm like, you know what? I don't have a car. What else can I succeed in? I can succeed in school. I can succeed in trying to get my life together, get my schedule better. I really need to get a job now. Right now, in Flagstaff, I don't have a job. In Phoenix, I have a job at the water park, but in Flagstaff, I don't have a job. Now I really need to get one. So I can start making money because I can't do DoorDash right now at the moment. So I need to get a job. I'm gonna work hard in school, like I just said. Last night, I spent 4 hours doing homework. 4 hours. I'm gonna be talking more about this too. Like I'm gonna be doing a whole other video on working hard in school and how basically I'm really have to use my time wisely, but I'm using to get better at the gym. as I mentioned earlier, right before this happened, like when I got the call from my parents, we basically, after the call was done, I was about to go train. So I took pre-workout and I like was so emotionally fueled during this workout. Like I destroyed the weights. I got an insane pump in my arms where I just like ridiculously pumped up. I used the pain to turn me into a victor. And that's what I'm gonna do from the situation. In a few years from now, like if I keep this mindset up, all the work, like I see like Giga Chad in the profile picture, that's what I'm trying to be in a few years. I want to become my best self, mentally and physically. And ultimately, this situation is going to make me a better person because I have the mindset. See, it sucked what happened, but I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to own my life. I'm not going to let life push me around. I'm going to determine which direction my life goes instead. And sucker punches happen, but you just got to be prepared to take the hit. And at the end of the day, this isn't a very bad situation, to be honest. It sucks, but you know what? There's far worse situations I could be in. Surely this honestly is a first world problem. There's starving people out there in countries. Like, there's starving people that would love to be able to do what I do, to be able to like focus on like have enough food to hit my macros and do bodybuilding instead of just having to like survive. There's people out there who have to walk like miles and miles and miles, and I don't have to walk that much right now, and I have roommates that can drive me to where I need to be. And there's shuttles and transportation systems down to Phoenix. And the thing is that it's just not really a bad situation compared to what it could be. I don't need the car. I want it because I'm like 20 years old and I don't want to feel like a child, but I ultimately don't need the car. I do think I will get one though, probably, but it's surely not a bad situation. It could be much worse. I can still do everything else. I can still kick ass in school, kill with training, do everything else. And I ultimately think that this situation was meant to happen. I think that it could be a test from God. I don't know. I think either way it's gonna lead me to something better down the road, maybe directly or indirectly. I have no idea. At the very least, it's gonna make me a stronger person mentally. I'm gonna get through this, I'm gonna learn from it, I'm gonna become a wiser person. And ultimately, I'm gonna become a much better man. I'm gonna learn how to become more flexible, less rigid, and how to react when life sucker punches you. I'm gonna learn how to cope with these situations, how to become a stronger person. Ultimately though, this situation, it sucked and all in the moment, but as soon as like I was kind of like calm, I was like, you know what, like a little smile went off my head. I'm thinking this is an opportunity to become my best self. Like I swear guys, like all the stuff like I've kind of like gone through the last year, like when I really came to like my maturity, I really came to realize who I truly am. And I really started putting myself through a lot of hard stuff this summer. Like I said, I started taking cold showers. I worked outside in the heat for 8 hours, trained outside in the heat. I started training to failure. And I just really started focusing a lot more on mind discipline. And if this in the mix, rough situations like this, guys, in the next few years, I'm gonna have like a mind of iron. I'm literally gonna make a stone wall. I might be emotionless, but who cares? Nah, but I just kidding. But for real though, I'm gonna be like a stone wall by the end of this. And the thing is that you can't let life control you. You can control your life. You can't be a victim. You need to be a victor. You need to learn how to control your lives. Don't have a victim mentality, have an owner mentality. But yeah guys, that's all I have to say today guys. Plans for the future, I'm thinking I'm gonna shoot the vlog on Friday. I'm gonna be hitting a chest workout. I'm gonna have like one morning lab. I'm gonna be shooting that, showing like what I do in a day throughout college. Just some stuff I do throughout the day, but that's really all I have to say today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share this to somebody who's just gone through a hard situation, a sucker punch that life just handed them. And maybe they could apply my same mindset towards it. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next video.